Hi guys, it's Warren from the Flying Panda YouTube channel, and in this video I'll be talking about one of my favorite characters, the badass pirate hunter Zoro. I'll be talking about his new swords and his new skills, so do enjoy the video. Before we begin, let's quickly talk about the Mito swords. In Japan, this means the sword has a history and is of a legendary status. So if you translate the word, it either means famous sword, excellent sword, or named sword, which we use in One Piece. Now, from the strongest to weakest swords, here are the categories. First is the 12 Saijo or Wazamano grade swords. An example of this is Mihawk's Yoru. Next is 21 O Wazamano grade swords. An example of this is Zoro's Wado Itamochi. And the weakest is the 50 Ryo Wazamono grade swords. An example of this is Zoro's destroyed sword, the Yabo Shuri. Now that's out of the way, let's go for the interesting part now, the new swords. Right, the first sword that will be replaced will be the Shushui, the sword that was given by Ruma, the zombie. The reason for that will be replaced is Zoro is a respectable person, and the next arc is the Wano country, and Zoro will return it to his rightful place. Don't forget, the Shushui is a national treasure to the Wano country. Now what sword would he replace it with, you're wondering? Well, I believe it's the sword he replaced Shushui will be the Nidai Hititsu. And yes, it will be a cursed sword again. I believe until the end, Zoro will only be getting cursed swords beside the Wado Itamochi. Well, how would he receive it? First, it could be One Piece style where in the end of the arc, all the Wano country will give him a present. So to make this theory more interesting, I'll say my theory, and I believe is Zoro will be going against the last Shichibukai that hasn't been mentioned yet. So right, you think it's just a Shichibukai, but who is it? Well, I'll make my theory on a Shichibukai as well. I believe this Shichibukai is somebody that is known to the One Piece world, but never appeared in One Piece. Now, what is going on now? Well, Oda made a series before One Piece, and that was called Monsters, and the main character was about Ruma. And we know Ruma already existed as a zombie already in One Piece. One of the characters that Roma killed, his name was Sarano. In Monsters, at first Sarano seems like a man full of dignity, who was friendly, kind and helpful. However, later we find out that he was a criminal, manipulative, immoral, who would murder others for his self-interest, even sacrifice his own comrades to achieve his goal. I believe the next Shichibukai will be related to Sarano, and when Zoro defeats this character, he will take the sword and will become a legend to the Wano country, just like Ryoma. I hope you enjoyed that theory so far about the first sword. Now let's talk about the second sword. And the second sword that will be replaced would be the Sandai Ketitsu, and the sword he will replace it with would be the Shodai Katetsu, another cursed sword. And where would he get that sword? Well, the only time we saw that sword being seen somewhere and it resembles that sword is from the Gandhi looking Kurosai, and that would be Zoro's first and only sword of the 12 Saijo or Wazamono, which is what? Yes, the top grade swords. I have a lot of theories on how he received that sword in the last war, but for now, I'll leave it as it is. Right guys, to round up, Zoro will have the Wado Itamochi, we will also have the Nidai Kikitsu, and we'll have the Shodai Kikitsu, and those are the final 3 swords. Right guys, the next part now is about Zoro's future skills, and hopefully there will be no more hard names to pronounce anymore. First I'll be talking about Armored Haki. When you remember when Zoro defeated Treble, he basically had Haki coming out from his sword, and just like the 360 cannon he done against Oz, he mentioned that the attack he did is still wasting energy. As we've seen from Luffy's Gear 4, Haki does drain you constantly. So what I believe is, in the near future, Zoro will be able to use Armored Haki constantly without feeling drained, so his sword will be coated completely in black and smoothly. I know people hate comparing to Dragon Ball, but if you remember from Dragon Ball Z, in the time chamber, when Gohan and Goku were training, they were constantly in Super Saiyan mode and try not to be tired out from it. It will be exactly like Zoro, where he constantly use Armored Haki and won't feel tired from it, and his sword will look like it's coated in black, and it will be just like Mihawk's sword. I believe there's so much more potential with Armored Haki, and we still are on the tip of the iceberg. I believe that you can still alter the shape of the Armored Haki, and this can include stretching out the Armored Haki so Zoro's sword will be even longer in certain situations. It will be very similar to Asuma's from Naruto's when he put his chakra around his knuckle busters. I think they're knuckle busters anyway. Now the next part I'll be talking about the Cursed Swords and the Conqueror's Haki. Yes, you heard right, I did say Conqueror's Haki. Just like all vice captains, they all have Conqueror's Haki. I always believe these Cursed Swords can kill the user. However, with the Conqueror's Haki, it makes you can control that spirit inside the swords and make it into a physical form. This is why we can see Zoro's Asura and we can see Cavendish's Hakuba. So one of Zoro's new attacks could be Asura being coated with Amino Haki, creating a black frames protecting him and also using it for attack. It even might look similar to Sasuke's attack, Susanoo. So far we have seen fire attacks, we've seen electric attacks from Luffy, so maybe it's going for the Hunter x Hunter route with Nin, where eventually your Armament Haki or your Haki can manifest into an element. But unless I see more evidence of that, I won't add that to this theory yet. Speaking of Hunter x Hunter, there's one attack I'm quite fond of, is the Guan Yin. Who knows, maybe Zoro will use the Guan Yin as his final attack. The 100 type Guan Yin was used by Netero, and he used that as one of his final attacks. I hope you enjoyed that video. Click like, subscribe and comment. I would love to hear your feedback. Other than that, check out my previous video about Tashigi, the next Nakama, and I look forward to seeing you next video guys. Peace out.